So originally I wanted to make this video about like all the things that happened to the band while it was like a thing, but now I decided to just talk about like the music, like all the albums, and in the end just say what I liked the most or what I would recommend you to start with when checking them out. And I've linked a video about probably the most important thing about the band apart from the music, the Battle of Britpop, in the description. And yeah, anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna tell you about Oasis.
How do I start? Well, the album's pretty good.
Oh, screw that, it's great, I love it. It just takes every emotion you want music to make you feel, puts it into a blender and then chases you around the house with its disgustingly irresistible mix of nostalgia, pure joy and bittersweetness. Just take the first song for example, Rock and Roll Star. Incredible energy that makes you want to get up and bob your head to it, while also having a nostalgic and dreamy feeling to it. That fits great with the lyrics, talking about the wish to be a rock and roll star that are just impossible not to sing along to. A jam, a banger, and a bob all at once. But what I also love are the guitar tones. Creation Records was a shoegaze label, and you can still hear that a lot here. The guitars are watery, everything is so loud, and through the effects there are tones produced you wouldn't get with a normal amp. But it never takes away from the easy way to consume the songs, as guitars don't overthrow the singing or make the melodies harder to follow. It feels like this album was made for me. And that's just the first song. Shaker Maker, Up in the Sky, Cigarettes and Alcohol are supported by those dang catchy riffs. Also both songs are just considered blatant rip-offs from other songs, but we're just not gonna talk about that right now. Bring It On Down or Columbia just bursts out of energy, and Supersonic just combines everything great I said about the album so far, plus having some of my favorite lyrics of Noel. And even if you don't like that super electric, super loud sound, then there's still something to enjoy here for you, in Married with Children or Dixie's Dinner being more slow songs. What lets this album stand as one of my absolute favorites, I'm talking like top 5 ever, are my 2 favorite songs from it, and of the band in general. Slide Away and Live Forever. Live Forever is a beautiful song written as an antithesis against the grunge scene's pessimistic attitude of life, and with the purpose just to celebrate being alive as a whole, while Slide Away just is one of my favorite love songs ever. They also have some of my favorite moments in music ever, like the solo on Live Forever and the outro on Slide Away. You know how there are just some songs that just feel special, where you are just grateful to witness them? That's the feeling I get when listening to these songs, and honestly when listening to the album as a whole. A staple of rock music and a great showcase of a young band's hungry for more.
I just also want to mention the song Whatever, which was like a single that came out between Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory, so it didn't really fit in here in this video, but I want to mention it because it's like a beautiful song, one of my favorites of Oasis, and I just want to mention that. And yeah.
So to describe Oasis' first album loosely, you can say it's mostly just wild, unadulterated fun, like a band just jamming around. What's the Story Morning Glory, on the other hand, has songs written specifically for the big arenas of the world, with focusing less on making songs as energetic as on their debut, instead keeping most of it in a way for more people to enjoy. So less distortion, more stadium-ready choruses, more repetition of the main hooks the song has. The songs on their debut were catchy already, these are inescapable. Don't Look Back in Anger, Wonderwall, some might say, these songs are the perfection of what one might call radio rock. Everyone can sing along, everyone knows all of it after first listen, millions of people still love them 30 years later. The two final tracks are probably my favorites on the album though. The title track Morning Glory can probably be held as one of the big exceptions of the whole being more tame thing, as it's louder, faster and more energetic than most of what even the debut has to offer. And then there's the 8-minute closer of Champagne Supernova, which, just listen to it. I don't know how to describe it. I think it's important to say that this album again faces some serious allegations of ripping off other bands' material, namely The One I Love being a huge inspiration for Morning Glory, or She's Electric taking the melody directly from While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles.
I don't know how someone controlled you, and I want you to know I got my mind made up now.
However, I don't think it's a hot take to say that this album is on the same level as Definitely Maybe. I think a fitting explanation would be Definitely Maybe is a better rock album, while What's the Story is a better pop album. It's just unbelievable how a band just starts out with arguably two of the best albums of all time. Let's see if they can keep it up.
This album is like far less significant than the two before it, while having a ridiculous amount of confidence in itself.
The two singles are over 7 and 9 minutes long. Well, I just basically said that Champagne Supernova is a masterpiece, and that's pretty much the same length region. But I made sense for that song to be this long. In the case of most of the songs here, the overlength of these is kind of redundant and even doing harm to the songs. Take Magic Pie for example, which has a cool progression to the pre-chorus with a pretty forgettable chorus. Okay, fine, I mean, say Columbia wasn't that interesting either, but was just very energetic and had a cool sound. What about Magic Pie? Well, it's over 7 minutes, I mean, it just doesn't end, and it's not really energetic at all. Similar problem with the lead singer, Do You Know What I Mean? Even songs that you otherwise maybe even enjoy are stretched out to the point where they feel overplayed after the first listen. It doesn't really help when the songs here are just not very interesting in the first place. The two best songs in my opinion are Fading Out and Don't Go Away. First off, Fading Out has an American rock edge to the band that didn't show till then and just never really showed up again as well. Don't Go Away on the other hand, just a simple love song with a good vocal performance by Liam. But it's also not very subtle to say the least. I probably didn't mention that, but Note's lyricism in the first two records is pretty consistently clever. An example, in the first verse of Supersonic, Liam sings, the song then continues until the second verse where he mentions, it's just a very small but fun line that makes the song feel more like a story, and just is very fun in general. Be Here Now though, it seems less creative.
The thing is, I think I might look at this album worse than it actually is. Maybe because it just came out after the two albums that are like by far the best of the band. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. It's a fine album, but yeah, like it's definitely like worse than the two that came before it.
The Masterplan is a collection from all the B-sides to the singles Oasis released until then. And this is probably the first hot take yet. It's easily on par with the first two albums, and there are even days where I prefer hits to What's the Story, Morning Glory. It captures both the adolescent energy of the debut album while giving the anthem-like choruses of Morning Glory, as the songs come from both of those periods. While that can make the album feel kind of disjointed, it still just is an incredible collection of songs. To describe Fade Away, well, I just say take everything I said about Rock and Roll Star and you have an idea of what it is. Acquiescence and the title track have choruses that can easily stand strong against the ones on Morning Glory, and the latter also shines with its great string arrangements, which make it fitting as a closer. My personal high note though is Talk Tonight. It has an honest street musician-like feeling to it, with the clapping, Noel's both strong and comforting singing and the great guitar melody in the background. Overall, the Masterplan has some of Oasis' best songs, and it's just a showcase of how great they once were. I think a more fitting title would have been Standing in the Shadows of Giants, as Oasis never reached the same heights as on the first two albums again. Like, never. And you just have to keep those out of your heads to be fair regarding the following albums, just as this one. Which, by the way, is not that bad. It's much less bombastic and long as their last album and seems more like an actual try to make something original instead of just trying to make something bigger than What's the Story, Morning Glory. The opener, In the Bushes, is a 4-minute instrumental piece and a cool opener. It also shows the new production on this album that's pretty fitting to the album because it sounds like a very good soundtrack for a movie in a grand city. I just get that feeling when I listen to it. It's also their fastest and most fun album since Definitely Maybe. Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is or I Can See a Liar go past faster than anything Oasis made on the previous two records. And now I have a question. How was Where It All Go Wrong not the lead single? It's the most radio-friendly song on here, with the possibly best chorus and a lovely vocal performance by Noel. Rolled Over would probably be the best song on the EP, with a great chorus and outro, but it just sounds so much like an extended version of The End by the Beatles that kinda roots the song for me. So Gas Panic is my highlight instead. I was kind of surprised how much I liked Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, given it's just about the least successful album of the group, which might be because of its lack of a hit single. If you just go into it with an open mindset and look at it without the context of the first two LPs, it's a pretty good album. Not exceptional though. I had a good time listening to it, but I don't think to revisit it or any of its songs in the future.
Remember when I told you that you should watch all of the later Oasis albums out of the context of the first two because they couldn't hold up to it? Well, I think for this one you just have to exclude all other music that you've ever heard from the context so you can enjoy it. It's just simply the best proper album since What's the Story, Morning Glory. That's just what it is.
I like Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, but while being very consistent, it doesn't have the kind of wonder that some songs here show at times. Andy Bell's two songs, Keep the Dream Alive and Turn Out the Sun, are two standouts for me. Turn Out the Sun especially is just magical. It starts the album with a warm guitar intro that sets a great stage for the bass to gradually enter the mix, before suddenly the loud second guitar enters in the verse, followed by Liam belting out,
I carry a madness everywhere I go.
Keep the Dream Alive is not that interesting, but I really like the riff that comes after the chorus and how it works with the chords behind it. It's almost as if Andy Bell would have experience in writing songs for British rock bands. Most of the songs are still written by Noel though. The Importance of Being Idle is a completely written single with a cool solo. A highlight of his stuff here though is By the Q, with defined atmosphere and a well-performed outro. Oh, and both songs are also sung by Noel, by the way, just as almost every second track since Heathen Chemistry. Don't Believe the Truth is overall definitely a step in the right direction and the band's best work in 10 years.
You know, the weird thing is that if you had told me in 1995 that this would be the album that Oasis would be releasing 30 years later, I would have actually seen that. You know, if I had been like alive back then.
Especially the first song, Back It Up, and the last, Soldier On, sound like an older, more adult version of Oasis that accepted that they aren't the young and wild anymore and evolved their rock sounds in regard of that fact. Shock of the Lightning is obviously another standout, but my favorite on here has to be I'm Out of Time. Written by Liam. Well, I didn't see that coming. The chorus is just absolutely beautiful and melancholic, and I would say it's one of my top 3 favorite Oasis songs since 2000. Is Dig Out Your Soul better than Don't Believe the Truth? No, but it's not a step backwards either. It's a solid album showing Oasis still had it in them.
So now at the end, if you want me to recommend you any albums by Oasis, I definitely tell you start with definitely maybe in What's the Story, Morning Glory, and the Masterplan as well, as those 3 are like peak Oasis. And if after that you still want to get into like the new stuff or like anything else apart from that, then I'd say Don't Believe the Truth is probably like the 3rd best actual studio album apart from the first 2. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I have a very small channel, so every subscription would mean the world to me. Listen to my music on Spotify. You can find that under the name Arne Mente. And yeah, listen to music.